I'm now joined by a Conservative MP. It's Andrew Bridgen, writer of letters to get rid of Tory Prime Ministers. Was it the right decision? What should happen next?
Yes, it was the right decision. Clearly, Liz Truss had lost the confidence, not only of the parliamentary party, but the public at large. I think when you get to minus 70 on personal approvals, you're basically giving Vladimir Putin a run for his money, aren't you? There was no way back, so she's done the honourable thing, the right thing to do. A very quick leadership election. I hope that all the main contenders can come together in the national interest. Some egos will have to be put to one side. I want to see a government of Conservative, all the talents we've got on the backbenches, which are considerable, all wings of the party. And I think the state of politics we find ourselves in today, if the party can't do that, and we can't coalesce around a new Prime Minister and a leadership team, we're heading for a general election. I think that's the last thing that we want, and probably the country wants, when we're facing so many challenges.
You say all the big beasts should stand. Can you just name them for us? So I've been speculating at some, but who are you talking about?
Well, all the people who stood in the summer, I think they've got to have a place at the table. I think it's probably between Rishi and Penny who's the most acceptable. But I hope that we won't have to even run the full week. I'm hoping that they can all get together and come up with a team that will be acceptable. As I say, some egos will have to be sacrificed in the national interest and in the interest of the Conservative Party.
So if it does boil down to a big, difficult choice between Rishi Sunak and Penny Mordaunt, what is that choice? Is it a choice between economic competence but not necessarily flair at the dispatch box, and on behalf of Rishi Sunak, an ability to absolutely command the House of Commons chamber, dispatch opponents, but a slightly uncertain economic stance from Penny Mordaunt? Is that a fair way of describing the choice if it does boil down to those two?
I think it's a bit more nuanced than that. I think they're both very capable politicians. I would add that I think Jeremy Hunt's probably secured his place as Chancellor. I think it would be irresponsible for anyone in the short term to move him from that position at the moment. So I think we've got all wings of the party potentially can be in that cabinet, and I think that's the best way forward. As I say, if those egos can't be sacrificed a little bit in the national interest, what will focus the minds is we would have to go for a general election if we can't form a stable government.
The one person who might not be willing to stand behind a unity ticket that might disrupt some of this, it's been suggested to me, is Suella Braverman. Do you think that's possible? What's your message to her?
No, Suella represents my wing of the party, if you like. I think the problem with the right wing of the party, I was probably only one of 5 or 6 of us who didn't back Liz, and I think there's the right wing of the party, my wing of the party, has taken a bit of a dent. We'll need Suella in the cabinet for sure, because she's our flag bearer. She's a fellow Spartan with me.
But she has been playing footsie with the Tory members. Do you know she's not going to disrupt this attempt to avoid the contact?
That was prior to Liz Truss's announcement this afternoon. We're in a different territory now. Let's be sure, the Conservative Party, where the polling is today, we are drinking in the last chance saloon, and everyone has to recognise that. And if they don't, well, they deserve what will be coming to us.
Forgive me, you, Andrew Bridgen, serial writer of letters to get rid of Prime Minister, are now telling Sky viewers that the most important thing is unity in the Conservative Party after everything that we've seen. I mean, isn't it hard to? I mean, it's a bit hard to take that.
Sam, that's 4 letters in nearly 13 years. I mean, there was
4 letters in about 5 years.
Yeah, over the last. And at the end of the day, when I announced I was putting my letter in, the Prime Minister's always went. I certainly wasn't the only person in the parliamentary party who was of that view, and I think they were the right decisions at the right time. And that's what I'm telling you now. We need to coalesce around a new Prime Minister, but also a team, and they've got to represent all wings of the party.
This isn't just about personality and Prime Minister, it's about policy too. Just very briefly, Jeremy Hunt has to decide the most difficult cuts in a generation on behalf of the Conservative Party without knowing who the Prime Minister is, who at the very last minute is going to have to sign off on them. That's politically unsustainable, isn't it?
I'm sure that we're all going to have input onto what Jeremy Hunt's going to have to do in his budget. The answer is also to get rid of HS2 and cut your losses now, which is a huge amount of money. But that's another one of my little hobby horses.
Right now, it sounds like Jeremy Hunt, though, is the most powerful person in government.
He arrived at a time of crisis. He's done a competent job. He's reassured the markets. He's secured his place at the table. He's already announced he wouldn't stand in the leadership. He's got his work to do. I hope other potential cabinet members will take such a responsible attitude to the roles they're going to have to do for the party and the country over the next week or two.
Final question. Do you lean currently towards any of the big beasts? Are you a bit more of a Rishi Sunak fan now? Are you a bit more of a Penny Mordauntite? Or are you even Stevens? Are you up for grabs?
I'm comfortable with either of them. I think they're both very competent politicians, but I think it will be one of those two.
And will it be a vote that determines that amongst MPs?
If they were to come to me tomorrow and say, we've decided between ourselves, we don't need a vote, this is what we've got, I would accept that either way. Or if we have to have one round of voting to see who's in front. What I don't really want is that someone's got 49% and someone's got 51% and the divisions continue, because we can't have that continue. We must move forward now as a team. We've got 2 years to the next general election, and if we move forward competently, what's happened over the last few weeks will be seen as an aberration rather than the norm. It can't be the norm.
Thank you very much indeed, Andrew Bridgen.